All right, we are ready to start the next party.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Henrietta Town Board. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Page.
Here.
Oh, I think I need a microphone on.
I'm still here.
Councilmember Blanca,
Here.
Councilmember Barley,
Here.
Councilmember Stafford,
Here.
Supervisor Schultz.
Here. We'll begin this meeting with a silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic in which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll get a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I'd like to make a motion to approve the regular meeting December 30th, 2023 of the Henrietta Town Board minutes.
Seconded. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Blanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Abstain.
Councilmember Stafford,
Abstain.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. That's a good question. What do you do if three members of the board have changed over? I guess.
Good, you could have that.
First up, we have special use permit application number 2022-046. R.A. Senzi, Bailey Road, to allow vehicle parking on the property. Do we have a representative from the application present? Is there somebody online?
I believe I saw them out in the hallway before the meeting.
I get you three are here for Mango? Okay.
Nothing? Thanks for looking, Craig.
That's later. Yeah, they do actually talk about that. Okay, apparently we do not have the applicant present. One of the things I will note that, so we had two choices and resolutions as to, well, first off, let me ask this. Is there anyone who wishes to speak with regards to this public hearing? I will note that in the resolution, we had a choice. They applied under Town Code Section 295.
There he is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh. Are you,
Rich, that's Rich.
Rich, do you want to
Yes,
talk?
I'm here. I've been out in the hall.
Go ahead and talk about your application. It's a public hearing for your special use permit.
Okay, my name's Richard Senzi and I'm here to obtain a special
Keep
use
the
permit.
microphone in front of you, so because
I'm here to, I'm here to obtain a special use permit for my lot on Bailey Road. And you guys pretty much got everything in front of you, what the letter, everything on there, so I'm just a layman here, so if you guys
Right.
want to fire questions at me,
Sure.
I'll answer as best as I can.
So first I'll note that you applied under Town Code Section 295-14B6, which is sort of a catch-all. However, that catch-all expressly says any other business or commercial uses not specifically enumerated herein. And under 295-14B10 is for vehicle storage lots.
Okay.
So that's as far as basically the way I wrote the resolution, we're going to deny it under B6, but we have the opportunity to approve it under B10.
Okay.
Now, one of the things on B10 that it requires a couple, there's some certain things that it requires. First is from a site plan standpoint, it does require screening from both the street and from adjacent properties. Now, in terms of the adjacent properties and looking at it, there's also something called transition buffers between the uses. It's our understanding, well, the records show that you own
The house next door also.
915 Bailey Road. So as long as that's currently a residential use,
I have a rental in there.
yeah, so as long as that stays residential use, that can count as your transition buffer. Because you own it,
Gotcha.
you're not imposing on some other homeowner.
All right.
So this just shows the property. The red is the commercial B1 zoning district on that side of the street.
Mhm.
Blue is the property and the yellow is essentially that's roughly 100-foot buffer from adjacent residential properties. You'll notice it does not go along 915 because we kind of, like I said, 915, the way I'm proposing we view it is that 915 is your residential buffer. So as long as that stays residential, that is your transition buffer, you're all set.
Okay.
The,
A few points I just want to make on
Sure.
this. I got a call from Jennifer asking if I was coming tonight. And she said she sent me an email and I was unaware of it, number one. So I didn't see the memos in here until tonight and I printed them off. And there is a few that I like to adjust, just, one was from like the fire marshal there about an easement for the thing there. In other words, I would have to have an area for a truck to pull in there, which I do. Which
okay,
I did, yeah, from the, I took that on myself as far as doing that. And the other was as far as he wrote down that the two properties next door to the lot are non-commercial. I didn't take it like that. I just says it is zone commercial. It can be commercial. So it wasn't like I was trying to throw something in,
no, I understood. No, and this, to be honest, this is one of the weird areas because the way they did that zone was the depth of a lot of those lots off of West Henrietta Road. So they just set the whole zone that deep. But obviously on some of these side streets, it picks up some residential homes. So as you can see, in addition to the one you own, the neighbor immediately adjacent to you is also in that zone, even though it's a pre-existing residential use. So it gets into this weird thing in that you kind of have to meet the standards of your zone, but you also have to meet the standards of the neighborhood in which it's contained. So that's what it gets to. Now, again, when we did the comprehensive update plan of the 2019 update to the comprehensive land use plan, we talked about these transition buffers because we'd seen a couple places where businesses came in, they tried to buy out the house, the homeowner didn't want to sell, so they pushed their businesses right up to the property line, which was not fair to those residences. It's not a fair expectation to expect the lot to stay empty for the rest of your life there, but it's also not fair for a business to push right up against the property line. So that's the whole purpose of the transition buffer. So again, by you owning 915, you provide that buffer. So we're all set in that regards.
And another thing too. In the front, you can see the area that's fair, not the wooded area in the very
Yep.
front. That's the place where the vehicles are.
Yep.
It doesn't pertain to the,
No, understood.
okay.
And so that's right. So, you know, in theory, could you continue to carve out a bit more to the south? Could you go back to that for a second? Go back to the previous drawing. So could you continue a little further to the south outside that that buffer area? And by the way, the tool I had didn't have a curve. That, see where the yellow line comes down from the corner of the 915 property? That
Yeah.
should be a circle, not a square corner. Cause
Right,
it's
right, right.
essentially,
Yeah,
it
it kind of goes, veers
should
off.
be a radius from the corner of the first residential property.
It's
you don't
about
know.
75 feet wide there
Yeah,
at least, if not even more.
Right.
That's open.
So anyway, you could, in theory, extend a bit further down there. You just can't extend into the portion that's up against the.
Don't intend to.
You don't intend to. I
Don't intend
understand
to.
that.
That's all
Yeah.
wooded, wet, you
But
know.
there's no transition buffer required to the commercial properties to the east. You just have to observe whatever
What's
the
behind
side
those other
setback, which I
two.
think is only like 5 or 10 feet. Chris Martin can weigh in with the side setbacks. But the one thing that we would look for, so you've got the transition buffers covered. The one thing is that there isn't any vegetative buffer to the street
There isn't?
there right now.
Oh, yeah, in front of the vehicles right now, I've got at least
You've
another,
got grass, no, vegetative screening. Sorry, I said buffer. I meant screening. So one of the things to look at, would you be willing to put up in the area where there isn't driveway? So behind the
yeah. right
behind
there.
the sidewalk, but before the cars, to, you see how you've got the vegetative screening between this property and the 915 property?
Yeah.
Could you do something along the front of the road? So go
If
to
you
the,
guys want something like a couple of bushes or something, just to dress it up more.
it's to, so go to the next imagery, the next image. So as you see on that one, so on the right-hand side, there's actually a parking lot behind there. Let's go to the next image. So you can just barely make out the cars there. Now, I understand it would take time for the vegetation to buffer there, but
Yeah.
that,
You know, be honest with you, I thought I was doing it good by having a nice green lawn in the front and keeping it cut. No, that was without nothing there at all, and that's why I kept it neat.
it could be something like arborvitae. It could be
Something, you
bushes.
want a little something in
Just
front.
something to try to hide the large rows.
I could do that.
That's what it calls for. So you would just work with the Department of Engineering and Planning.
I could do something
Yeah.
like that. There, that's not a problem at all.
Now, the other issue we've got right now is that the way that code, so when we were, where this allowed use came from is during COVID especially, a lot of the dealerships were asking for extra storage and there was no space on dealership row. And so they were saying, well, can we go elsewhere in town? And there was a big reluctance in town to keep that spread from happening, which goes back to why this screening requirement was put there. But one of the other fears that was had was that Henrietta would become a parking lot for a bunch of other towns that don't allow expanded parkings. So one of the things that's written in there is that the cars have to be from a Henrietta-based business. The issue.
Which they are.
Is it? I thought they were located.
No,
right?
no, they also, they have a place in Brighton, right in West Henrietta Road, but they're also in West Henrietta on Rush Henrietta Town Line Road in Rosselli's old yard.
Oh, that's the same company?
Yes,
Okay, I didn't realize that was the same.
yes,
company.
because I even asked them, did you guys need a special permit? You know, I got, what's going
Right.
on? And he goes, I don't think so. And then he goes, yeah, we did get one.
Yeah, they did.
So then I thought maybe I'm falling into that, but evidently not. either.
No, so there's a difference there is because the business is actually located there, that's a different category. This is for offsite, essentially offsite parking. Okay, so that actually resolves that issue. I didn't realize they were
Yeah, they
I
are.
didn't realize it was the
Yes,
same company.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are. And
So-
as far as the other thing that Kevin pointed out too about a sign, I'm not looking to put up a sign.
Good,
No, this is,
right. So basically, the conditions, some of them from B10 and then just a couple others brought up. So that basically the conditions on the special use permit would be that only new vehicles may be stored on the property, which those are new vehicles.
They are
correct?
brand new vehicles.
No sales or customer activities may take place. which
None, it's
Jen's
just stored
noted
right
that,
there.
yep. It has to be a dealership or motor vehicle sales business with a business location in town of Henrietta, but they have that, so. The adjacent residence, 915 Bailey Road, must remain residential use to act as a transition buffer, which you're already planning on doing. Again, let's look at some vegetative screening behind the right of way. So again, you can work with,
I'll see what he wants.
yep. All vehicles stored on the property must be parked on a paved surface and not on grass, dirt, or other non-paved.
It's on millings, so yeah,
Yeah.
and stone, yeah.
And then, there were some questions with regards to drainage, and stormwater control.
Go ahead.
So again, we're not stormwater specialists, so it basically just says that you have to meet any drainage. The parking lot, you have to basically look to prevent oils, fuels, and other automated motor fluids from
Right.
running off or leaching into the
Property
ground.
hasn't changed in 50 years.
Yeah, I understand, but I want you to,
Understand about
Right.
oil and stuff like that,
Yeah.
of course.
and then the second one is, I don't know that there's going to need to be any, but if there's a requirement for stormwater control measures, I don't know that there is, but the point is, if there are some, you'll have to meet them. So both of those last ones are at the discretion and direction of the Department of Engineering and Planning, or the director specifically. Because I don't think it's a small enough thing that I don't think it requires a site plan, especially since you're not really changing much.
Right.
So it would be handled administratively. So
I did stop and I talked to the engineer, Chris,
Yep.
at the time to him, explained to him what was going on.
So
What-
that's sort of, like I said, happy to hear that it's a Henrietta business, because that was the only thing I was gonna say.
Yeah.
We could potentially approve the whole thing. You just couldn't park those vehicles there, but I didn't realize they're the same company that
Yep.
bought the area down in the
They are.
other end of town. Okay.
Can
well,
I,
Go ahead.
now let's just say tomorrow, next week, these guys might just leave and it's an empty lot again. And now if Garber or Bob Johnson calls me, I gotta go through this again and get.
No.
special-
Once you have
okay.
the special use permit,
Okay,
as long as you meet these conditions.
right.
You can put other vehicles there. They would
Okay.
have to be new vehicles. It would have to, but like, yeah, so Garber could do it, any of the Henrietta dealerships.
So while I have you guys here then, let me just step forward a little bit more. Is that lot not used? Can it be used for a storage facility?
Which lot?
Where the cars are parked? I mean, let's just say guys want, I get asked all the time, hey, can we park our camper there? Hey, can we park our
No,
boat there?
so that type of use, outdoor use, that is not an allowed use. In fact, I think it's specifically listed on the prohibited.
Okay, this is
Uh,
what I wanted, because this was never this way a few years back.
Yeah, it's been that way for a long time. It just wasn't necessarily always spelled out. The camper prohibition preceded me. I know that, because there was somebody who was in here complaining that Terry Eckwell hated campers.
Right, and back when I used to park my equipment there, if they
So-
leave and is that out of the question too, my own
So
property?
if it's equipment for your business, then that's allowed.
Okay,
It's where you need the special use permit is when you're parking stuff for other people's businesses.
Okay.
That's where it starts to get,
okay,
that's where you need the special use permit.
okay.
So, but yeah, if you were when you were parking your, was it construction and landscaping?
Dump trucks, I had
Yeah.
dump trucks, my equipment, yeah, my backhoes and stuff
Right,
like that.
yeah.
We're going back.
Oh, I know. I lived at the corner of Bailey and John Street for many, many years.
Oh, and you
Blue
see
house.
me playing around in that lot then, all right,
Absolutely.
okay,
Yeah, so like I said, because that was part of your business, that's an allowed use.
okay.
It's when again, there's a fear that we don't want Henrietta to become a parking lot for the
I
rest of the
understand
county,
that.
so. Okay, other questions, comments?
I had a question actually about the consideration of 915 as a transitional buffer. If at some point that this parking lot remains as a lot, and you make the decision to sell 915 to a new property owner, how does that affect
I can answer your question right now. I will not sell that lot unless the house goes with it. That is a given.
Yeah.
That
So
is a
one of the things, to
given.
answer your question, it could have, if he wants to keep the lot and sell the house, you can put a deed restriction on the house.
Hmm.
So that it basically remains a residential use.
Yeah, because that's the only way I will sell the lot is if the
Right.
house goes with it. And that's the way it's all commercial
Right.
and they can deal with it. Okay. So
Other
are we,
questions?
That was my
Same question? Yeah.
question. My question for Mr. Prince is this, do you have a contract with them now?
do I have a what?
A contract with Alliance? Do you have a contract?
A
with them?
lease. I have a
You
lease
have a
with them.
lease?
Yeah.
How long is it?
6 months, and as long as they want to go, month to month, or until I tell them they got to leave.
Okay.
And that's how I left it with it. And these guys have been great. They park it there. And let me tell you, by having those vehicles there, I don't have to worry about 18-wheelers pulling in. I don't have to worry about kids pulling in there and partying there and finding crap all over the ground.
Right.
And that's what was happening. So this is a blessing for
Yeah.
me.
I used to see occasionally the semis pulling. in
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then my kids next door would have to tell them to leave and I'd have
Right.
to come, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Anything else?
Oh, we'll just see. Is there anybody in the audience or online who wishes to make a comment with regards to the application? Then hearing and seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing for special use permit application number 2023-046.
See, you guys will give me till spring to plant some shrubs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm
yeah.
taking off in another week.
No, that's fine.
And another thing
We would
is,
like it to survive, so.
and another thing is, I had to bring up, when I first filed this out, I was in Florida and it got here 2 days late, my application. It was supposed to be here on the 15th. It didn't get here until the 17th over the weekend, which was Veterans Day weekend. Okay, fine. I had to fill out another permit, cost me another $50, fine. But then when I got home, I had a summons to go to court because they didn't receive it on time on the 15th, which I went to court. And the judge says, just let us know what's going on and call them. So am I able to let the court know that?
Yeah, in fact, you'll be able to get a notice from the town clerk in a moment.
Oh, okay,
well,
great. And I
Tomorrow
can bring it into,
or
okay,
the next day, yeah, that you can bring them in.
okay.
Okay, to answer your question, the summons was because he was operating a business without a special use permit. This was what the violation was. Okay, fellow board members, I have, resolution 2-58, 2024 to approve special use permit number 2023-046 under Town Code Section 295-14B10 for a proposed vehicle storage lot.
Second.
So again, when you read the resolution, it will actually first deny the resolution under B6, because that's how you applied. It then approves it under B10 with the conditions that I read to you.
Can I ask you, what are the differences between B10 and B6?
B6 is the catch-all. B10 is specifically for vehicle storage lots.
Okay.
Because it's a vehicles, so like I said, there was some question as to whether it did or didn't apply in terms of, because whether it was a for sale, although they do sell the stuff, they are.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got
Right,
you.
but the point is, you can't, for instance, car dealerships, the section that approves car dealerships limits them to a certain area. I can't then go somewhere else in town and say, well, I want to do a catch-all over here because this one
Expand
doesn't
out,
apply
I
to me.
understand.
So
I understand.
B10 does apply to this use, so therefore
Okay.
it's approved under B10. So,
Very good.
but rather than make you refile it, here, we'll just do it in one motion.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Any further comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Blanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. So congratulations, like, so if you could just meet with Chris.
I'll stop and even see him this week before I head out.
Yeah, that'd be great. So that way you can get in plans as to what needs to be done to meet the requirements. of the
Very good.
special use permit.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
And who do I see now? Anybody?
Now,
Not
you don't
tonight.
see.
Oh, I thought I got a
Send
paper.
an email to me at supervisor@henrietta.org and I'll get you electronically.
Asking about the thing to take to court tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. It'll be out tomorrow or the next day. It'll be the resolution with the voting.
Could I stop here at the town and grab one?
Or I can email either way. Yeah.
Okay, great. Guys, thank you very
You
much.
bet. Take care.
Yeah.
Next up, we have special use permit application number 2023-047, Mango Cannabis Company, New York Rochester Group LLC, 3553 West Henrietta Road to operate a retail cannabis store. Please introduce yourself and your relationship to the project.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and members of Town Board and Attorney Mistrella. My name is Francis Corman. I'm an attorney with Harris Beach. I'm here this evening for the special use permit application of the New York Rochester Group LLC, DBA Mango Cannabis. With me tonight in person is the landlord of the property, Bernard Birnbaum, the managing member of Birnbaum 3553 LLC, and Joseph Patah, the authorized and managing member of the applicant. Also appearing by Zoom is our architect, Eric Multer, and Joseph's brother, Kevin Patah, who operates 8 medical cannabis retail dispensaries in Oklahoma. Kevin was not able to be with us in person tonight because his wife is close to having their 4th child. So yes. We're looking for a special use permit at 3553 West Henrietta Road. That is in the permitted zoning area for the cannabis location. One of the letters that we received in response to our application references that there is an Indie Cart and Dave and Buster's within 1,000 feet of the proposed location. Under your town code, as you're aware, there's a 1,000-foot buffer. Your town code, as you're also aware, permits a reduction of that buffer. We've measured the distance, and the distance by driving is one's like 0.3 of a mile, the other is 0.4 of a mile. And if you do as the crow flies, it's over 800 feet. There's a stream, there's trees, and a 5-lane road. So, we do believe that there's rationale for reducing the buffer. In our application, in the letter that we submitted on November 28th, we went through the factors, the standards for granting the special use permit. And, I'm available to go back through those factors again if you would like. Otherwise, we would just rely on our submission. Joseph Patah is here to answer any questions you have regarding the operation of the facility. And obviously, the operation of the facility is contingent upon an award of a retail dispensary license from the Office of Cannabis Management, and we have submitted that application.
Do you have are you just going straight to the full, or did you already get a provisional license?
We're going straight to the full.
Straight to
The
the full.
provisional licenses that were issued were the card licenses.
Gotcha.
And that
Okay.
required a marijuana related offense, and the applicant does not have a marijuana related offense.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, in looking at it, obviously, in fact, I was looking at it, I didn't even consider when I was doing all the stuff for reviewing the stuff and looking at the factors, that the IndyCart, which I'm not even sure is still open,
It's still open.
is it? I don't know how long it's gonna stay. I don't know, let's put it this way, they've been talking to us about converting that to medical space, so. But the point being, as you stated, it's over 800 feet away in a straight line across a 5-line road, a stream. Vegetation, massive parking lot, so, right, and there's no direct sidewalk connecting the two, so, as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe that to be an issue. In terms of looking at a couple things, we have some, what I'll call, standard provisions we put on all of the cannabis approval special use permit So I'm going to read those off to you to make sure you understand them. Prior to operating the dispensary, the applicant obtained all necessary government approvals to operate said retail cannabis dispensary, including but not limited to a cannabis adult use retail dispensary license from the New York State Office of Cannabis Management. 2, the dispensary shall be operated in accordance with all applicable laws, rules, and regulations. 3, that on-site consumption of cannabis products, either in-store or on-site, such as in the parking lot or adjacent areas, is prohibited, and that diligence is expected from the operation to prevent this from occurring. The failure to prohibit and or lax attitude towards those improperly consuming cannabis products in-store or on-site may result in the revocation of the special use permit by the town board. 4, that the operation exercises diligence with respect to childproof containers, packaging that does not entice children, fire identification procedures, monitoring the facility inside and out, and use of a safe and other cash handling protocols, and other procedures and protocols to ensure the legal sale of cannabis products and to help prevent the cannabis products from falling into the hands of minors. The failure to maintain adequate safeguards or a material departure from what was presented to the town board during the application process may result in the revocation of the special use permit by the town board. And number 5, that all cannabis sale activity shall take place within the interior of the building or at a designated curbside locations along the front of the building in conjunction with applicable New York State Office of Cannabis Management laws and regulations regarding curbside sales operations. No sales may occur in other locations outside, under tents, or under a portico or similar physical structure. Does that match with your plans?
It does.
Okay, great. I don't have any further questions. I've had the luxury of meeting with them prior to submitting the application, so I was able to ask any questions, and a lot of those questions I asked, they then put their answers in their package. So like I said, my questions have all been answered. I don't know if anybody else has other questions.
For the issue of security, lighting, all of that, is that the planning board or that you already had that discussion?
We had that discussion. It's in their plans, but why don't you talk to what you're doing from a security standpoint?
Joseph, would you like to address that?
Good evening. We usually spend tens of thousands of dollars on security cameras. We usually run about 70 cameras throughout each location. And we always have an armed guard on each location at all times, no matter what. We have opening and closing procedures that allow, our employees to go in safely and exit safely at all times. We don't allow anybody to go in by themselves or leave by themselves.
Thank you. That's.
I could also answer any questions if needed. FL, I'm on the call.
Hello, Kevin.
How are you guys?
Good. Very nice. What hours do you operate?
Normally, we operate from Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And also on Sunday as well. Sunday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday weekend hours are 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. But that may differ based on what municipality we're operating in or what within the guidelines of their ordinances and states. So some states, some cities might have an ordinance where, you can't stay open past 2 a.m. or you can't open for 24 hours. I don't think, do you guys have an ordinance in place for scheduled opening and closing times?
Right now, we are just using those hours specified by the Office of Cannabis Management.
Okay. I'll take a look at that with FL and see what that is, and then we'll make sure we fall within those guidelines.
I have a question. You mentioned that you have 8 other sites.
They have 8 sites in Oklahoma. They're medical sites, medical cannabis.
Have any of those sites been cited for violations?
0.
No illegal sales?
0. I'm sorry. Did you say illegal sales?
Yeah.
Illegal sales, Kevin.
Any illegal sales?
No, not at all. And I can actually give you some really good referrals in Oklahoma. We're actually an exemplary brand in Oklahoma. We work close with legislators on legislation for Oklahoma cannabis laws. And then they also use us as an example and use our sites for training purposes as well to train their inspectors. So we've set the standards in the state as far as compliance goes. We're a very compliant company since we launched in Oklahoma. At one point was the Wild Wild West, and now has become probably one of the most compliant regulatory states within the country when it comes to cannabis laws. We've helped shape that for them, and I can give you guys some great referrals. Possibly the director of the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority is one that comes to mind. I can also refer the Attorney General of Oklahoma as well. He's another person that comes to mind. And a few state representatives and senators I can also refer as someone that you guys can reach out to about our image in Oklahoma.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Be any drive up or any drive through business at this facility?
Not at this point, but we'd come back and talk to the board about some curbside pickup.
You have those at other facilities?
Pardon me?
Do you have those at other facilities?
Yes, we have curbside pickup at other facilities, and we are building a drive-through at one of our locations in Michigan that we're building right now. We don't have any plans for a drive-through currently at this location, just curbside pickup for right now.
And just so you know, Rob, under the new, or not necessarily new, but the latest versions of the cannabis, Office of Cannabis Management regulations, they do have specific regulations for how any curbside operation has to take place. If you look at their site, they have the areas designated up front right next to the building as curbside. So that's what that condition 5 is referring to. We'd want it to be the ones right in front of the building, not somewhere off on the side of the parking lot. That way they're under full view of the cameras in the building, the windows too.
Why this site? I mean, it is 1,000 feet from Dave and Buster's, whether it's gonna be there or not. Why this site is so close to the mall and that entertainment center?
That's a great question, and I would say it has to do with it being in a retail district. We want to be where all the traffic's at, so we can capture that traffic and have the best chance to bring in the most possible revenue for the company and for the city. As far as site selection in Henrietta, it's pretty limited, based on the ordinance that's been drafted. There really is not a lot of sites to choose from. So we evaluated this one and we felt like this was the best chance and the best opportunity for us to succeed.
Thanks. I have no other questions, Mr. Price.
Well, you mentioned the sites being very limited in Henrietta. I can tell you that from when we first started talking about cannabis sales in Henrietta, the sites, the map has expanded a great deal than when we first started talking about it. But
Okay.
You did mention the 8 sites in Oklahoma, but are those the only stores you have open, or do you have, because I heard you mention Michigan, but that store isn't open, I take it, yeah.
Lansing is not open yet. It's under construction. We'll probably be open in the next 120 days. And then we have New Mexico as well that we're constructing. We just closed on that building actually 2 weeks ago. So that should be done in roughly 4 to 6 months, I would say.
Okay, but
So
there's
go ahead, I'm sorry.
no other locations that are open.
I'm
besides-
sorry.
There is no other locations currently open except the Oklahoma location.
That's correct. Just the 8 Oklahoma locations. Correct.
Yeah, by way of background, I appeared before the board maybe 2 years ago on behalf of Rise Cannabis and Green Thumb Industries, and just a really super operation. And then I subsequently left my partnership at Harris Beach, and I worked with a national cannabis boutique law firm out of their Colorado office. And I was exposed to operators throughout the country. It was this firm I was at was recognized as the top cannabis law firm in the country, and that is actually where I met the Pataz. And they impressed me quite a bit. I had done some work in Oklahoma, and generally the market in Oklahoma was struggling because the large amount of black market cannabis and the regulations, and there was all sorts of licenses that were issued. And Kevin and his brother Joseph just impressed me because they were able to successfully operate in that state when many places were not. And I think in part that is because of their background in the retail industry. Their father started out in the grocery store industry, you know, in the late 80s, and now he owns several grocery anchored shopping centers. There's tight margins, but they know the retail business very, very well. One of my early discussions with Kevin, he was telling me how he just finished reading the book, Your Next 5 Moves. And I'm thinking, you know, the Harvard Business School book, who you know, you don't meet a lot of cannabis operators that are reading books like that. When they came to visit last week, they stayed, they stayed in town. They loved the area. And one of his questions was, what's the demographics? What's the demographics? And again, these are questions that you hear from responsible, experienced operators, you know, which unfortunately in the cannabis business, not every operator can claim to operate that way.
And to add on to that, to give you guys an idea, in Oklahoma, we roughly serviced 60,000 different unique patients last year, over about 65,000. There's roughly 350,000 patients in all of Oklahoma. So we service roughly 17 to 18% of the entire market in Oklahoma has visited our stores. So we take pride in what we've built. We do a very good job when it comes to compliance. Our website is beautiful. Our stores are all well kept. We have SOPs for everything we do in the company. We're a very streamlined company. We have a marketing team, a purchasing team, an HR team. We're a very professional company. We offer benefits, health, and we want to continue to grow. That's our goal, and we love the New York market, especially the greater Rochester area, and Henrietta really is our main focus. But you guys have any questions for us that I can answer for you guys?
I'm all set. One of the things I just noticed, was thinking about that we didn't put on here, which we did require for Rise because they were within that 1,000 foot, was we had a restriction on signage, that there was no signage that we'll call it glorified cannabis consumption. So is the way I put it, jokingly, to quote the great Bob Dylan, everybody must get stoned, right? We don't want to see a sign along those lines, which again, when I look at your signage material, I don't think this is an issue, but typically again, it's happened once in the past, but because it was within that 1,000 foot, we put a restriction on the signage. Would that be fine with you guys?
Yeah, I believe in the Rise Cannabis special use permit, you did state that the signage that was submitted was approved. And it would be great if we could get something similar, particularly because I think with the Rise Cannabis, the buffer was significantly
It was
different
still
and
over
less.
500, but it was, it was in the 600 foot
Yeah.
range.
Yeah.
From what I've seen of the logo and that all looks fine. It's not the, we don't want to typically see a giant pot leaf. But like I said, I'm also even talking about what I'll call sales signs, right? That promotional signs that, and I don't know, I'm sure the state has a lot of regulations because I know they do from the liquor authority. But like I said, I just,
we wouldn't have an issue if we could also have some sort of something affirmative like we did with Rise Cannabis, that the proposed signage was acceptable. And I think in our package, we do have, and our architect is on the phone, or on the Zoom.
Bring that up. Right?
Yeah.
Is there any interest in the medical side of it at this location at all?
You'd have to get a separate license. So,
And there's nothing that prevents, in fact, if you remember from the public hearings, that was one of the things that I'll call it, pushed the decision over the
That's why
end line with regards, the point is if there's a product that somebody needs from a medical standpoint that can be obtained at a adult use dispensary, there's nothing that prevents them from getting it there.
Right.
It's just it
Vice versa.
to what they wouldn't be able to do necessarily is like, I don't know how it's handled if they're if it's being covered by medical insurance. So yeah, so that's okay, here we go. Yeah, so I don't see anything in that signage that glorifies cannabis, for lack of a better way to put it. So looking at the concept signs, they look fine by me.
Yeah, Supervisor, if I could add something, we're all about a very clean and classy look. So we're not gonna, put up a bunch of signs that say, weed for sale over here and
Right.
discounts and this and that. No, we like to have a very clean look. We like our parking lot to look clean. We want the windows free and clear. We don't like window stickers. We want people to actually see the lobby, be able to see in and see out. So that's something that I can tell you right now, we won't have an issue with.
On that note, when I do some traveling for work, I've been by a couple of these places and some were lit up like Christmas trees. I really wouldn't want to see.
And that, right.
That's probably not our department, but
well,
but I'd
no,
like
that's,
to-
but we can put it's
Right.
not us to determine what that is, but in terms of, that's some of the restriction. In fact, we have, this, so where some of this has come up, there are places that are selling, they're essentially smoke shops, or they're selling CBD oils. And to Councilman Stafford's point, they are, I think, lit up like a Christmas store or Christmas scene is an apt description. And it appears to be clearly directed at young adults, and even one can argue to teens, which again is not acceptable. A number of them have been illegally selling cannabis. We've reached out to the Office of Cannabis Management to work to get those places shut down. In fact, we've since moved that smoke shops now going forward, they can only be in the same restricted area that the cannabis shops are, because far too many of them are trying to serve that same market illegally. So that's where some of this comes from, is we've seen problems with some of the less responsible retailers. So
I think the Office of Cannabis Management has very stringent packaging, labeling, marketing requirements. And they're very, very,
yeah,
very stringent.
they do. They just they have to beef up their enforcement
Right.
division. The thing that's really frustrating is one of those shops, we'd heard reports that they were selling to minors. I reached out to our Monroe County Sheriff's Office. They sent in a plainclothes deputy, and which I thought was brilliant, they had a plainclothes cadet go with them. The cadet was 20 years old. While the deputy was browsing the store, the cadet was able to make a purchase as a minor. Here we are closing in on 2 years later, and it's still not been prosecuted, which is very frustrating to us.
Well, the town board member Page had referenced the medical cannabis, and I think one of the things that it's positive about Mango Cannabis is because of the medical regulations and their operations in Oklahoma that will transfer over to their operations here. Their standard operating procedures, their SOPs. And the other thing is, they talked about the number of cameras. They usually have, 70, you might have 50 to 70 cameras here. Is that correct, Kevin?
This location will have about 16 channel DVRs. So that is 96 cameras, 16 channel DVRs. Is that right? 96. So roughly up there, about anything over 3,500 square feet, we put 16 channel DVRs in, and we like to cover every spot from 2 different angles. So, and you can actually see it in our presentation. We showed one of our security rooms for one of the stores that has all the TVs that show all the cameras. Yeah, we're very intuitive when it comes to our security, not only cameras, but networking, armed guards, and making sure we cover everything, because it is still a cash business and you have to treat this like a bank, almost as well as a jewelry store as well. You've got to be able to track everything and have the processes to be able to reconcile. So having the camera systems and being able to see things from many angles is very important in this industry.
So yes, Steve, I'd like to see some kind of lighting restriction. Back to my question.
And what,
Some kind of lighting restriction.
lighting or
Yeah.
signage?
Well, the lighting that.
Well, it's
so
signage.
Not lit up like a Christmas tree.
Right.
That's what we're.
Yeah, as
So-
as the supervisor mentioned, when we first started our public hearings, when this issue was coming to our town, there was a strong request from our community for the medical side. Really strong. I believe Rise already has their medical
Correct.
license. I went by there yesterday, the parking lot was full. And they're not retail yet. So that just demonstrates the need.
Just a question about your Oklahoma business. Does Oklahoma only allow medical? That you don't have the retail, that you don't have the normal retail?
Oklahoma is medical only right now.
Okay.
Michigan is medical recreational. New Mexico is medical recreational. And we will get medical in New York as well. I believe right now we applied for rec. And then I think once we get our conditional approvals, if I'm not mistaken, FL, we can apply for the med side as well.
The application fee is a little heftier, I believe.
Okay.
I think it's $2 million.
For the medical.
I think
2
so.
million?
I think so, yeah.
So I will note that, if you have this special use permit, it will also cover medical.
Okay, great.
You wouldn't
Thank
have
you.
to come back and update. It's the other way. If you start with medical and want to go to retail, you do have to update, but the retail SUP is broader. Okay. Any other questions, comments? I've written the 6th condition, so, when I move, the motion, I will include this sixth condition, which is the signage cannot glorify cannabis, promote the overindulgence of cannabis, or be overly flashy. And I realize that's a fuzzy term. There's no way we can define. I will state that the signage that's shown on the building is compliant with number 6. If they go again to all lit up like a Christmas tree windows, that would not be compliant. Any questions, comments from the public? And hearing none, I am going to close the public hearing for special use permit application number 2023-047 Mango Cannabis. Fellow board members, I have resolution 2-53, 2024 to approve special use permit application number 2023-047, a retail cannabis dispensary at 3553 West Henrietta Road with the original 5 conditions plus the 6th condition that signage cannot glorify cannabis, promote the overindulgence of cannabis, or be overly flashy.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Nay?
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
If you, well, you've got my email. We can put you in touch with the Henrietta Chamber of Commerce. And they can help with regards to ribbon cuttings and stuff like that. So,
Great.
Thank you,
so much
council.
for your time.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next up, we have a public hearing for special use permit application number 2023-048, Capital Cannabis. Consulate Cannabis LLC, 3333 West Henrietta Road, to operate a retail cannabis store. The application was postponed by the applicant, but if anybody has shown up to offer comments, we are welcome to hear them, considering there's nobody in the audience and I don't know if there's anybody left online. But if anyone wishes to make comments, otherwise, this was postponed and we will re-advertise once they have resubmitted an application. They are extremely close to trampoline, altitude, thank you, trampoline center. So the original, basically, I notified them that based on their current application, it was most likely to be denied. And they were going to take a look to see, it's a large plaza. There's potentially other places, or if there's something they could do in that location with regards to potentially barriers or otherwise fixing up that plaza. They're even close to the state requirement that we couldn't even waive if we wanted to, 500 feet, although the state distance for, to a school or they call it a community center that essentially caters or operates primarily for children or young adults. That one they measured door to door. So in theory, if they put the entrance on the far side of the building, they're outside the radius and compliant within the state. But as far as we're concerned, they're awfully close to that altitude. So we're gonna see it. We're gonna see if there's something that they could potentially do. If so, they will resubmit their application. Then, hearing and seeing no public comment, I'm gonna close.
Excuse me.
Oh, you have some, okay.
Yes. Hello. Hi, my name is Ryan Murphy. I am a law student with the law firm Leaf Legal PC, and we're representing Consulate Cannabis in this application. I just want to say thank you for giving us the time to look over the application again. We hope to be able to work out something that's going to be satisfactory to the board.
Great. Thank you. Any other comment? Then hearing and seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing for special use permit application number 2023-048. And again, it will be re-advertised for once the application has been updated and resubmitted. That concludes our public hearings. Can I get my third resolution?
Mr. Supervisor, I have resolution 2-54, 2024 to approve and or ratify the following agreements.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Blanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor, resolution number 2-55/2024 to authorize bills payable and any associated contracts or agreements for December 21, 2023 through today, January 2nd, 2024.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Blanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 2-56, 2024 to hire personnel and make the attached changes.
Second.
So I believe this does. Did we have to put something in the stipend for the plowing stipend into this?
Oh, the $1.
I do not. I think we were all set on that.
Okay. Cause I guess it's not really a change, right? So this is just indicates changes. Yeah,
That is correct. And I'm waiting for a signature back from the union.
okay, great, thank you.
Fellow board members, I read.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, you want to vote on it?
We might want to vote on this one. Any further?
I saw the finish line.
Probably double parked or something?
I
That's
saw
right.
the finish line.
Any further comments on resolution 2-56? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution 2-57, 2024 to approve final contract initiating a special attention detail program with Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
Second. So I know we were waiting to get a copy back that included the language. So they had said that they would indemnify us and name us as additional insured under their liability policies, but general liability, we wanted to have it say as including their law enforcement liability. Last I saw, they had agreed to it, but do we have the actual?
We do not have the actual document. The counsel to the sheriff is hasn't been in the office due to a death in the family. He is expected to be back, and we should have that for your signature this week. He did email me saying that the language that we requested it will be included, and that the county attorney's office agreed to that as well. And so it will, that sentence will read, the county's general liability insurance, which includes law enforcement liability coverage, shall provide for and name the town of Henrietta as an additional insured. I also requested and didn't hear back that we can use the start dated January 10th to coincide with the county's resolution. Whatever the date is, I don't think that's a big issue, but it's probably January the 10th.
Great. Thank you for all the work on that. Any other questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. That concludes our resolutions. Do we have any additional discussion items or comments from the public? Hearing and seeing none. I'll tell you, if you want to do a public hearing where you don't have a lot of public comment, apparently the organizational / regular meeting is the one to hold it at. Do we have any miscellaneous or committee reports? Probably nothing, since most everybody's been on break. Okay, then can I get a motion to adjourn?
So, or second.
Okay, so I'll put Rick Page, Rob Barley is second. Hearing no objections,